Welcome to SBU 408D Entrepreneurship. My name is Felicia Friedide and Aqua. I'll be taking you to this Unit 6, Small Business Finance. Specifically, we're going to look at Section 4, Government and Institutional Support for Small Scale Enterprises. By the end of this session, you should be able to identify some key institutions that give support for small businesses in Ghana and explain the role of these institutions to entrepreneurship and small business development. To begin off, we're going to start with the Ghana Venture Capital Trust Fund. And in our earlier session, we made mention of the fact that venture capital is a source of long-term financing in there, and I made mention of the Ghana Venture Capital Trust Fund, which is also called a VCTF, and this was actually established in the year 2004 to provide some sort of low-cost finance to small businesses in the country. And we made mention earlier that when it comes to venture capitals, they may want to find more riskier businesses than the banks would want to finance. And so some functions of the VCT, which is a Venture Capital Trust Fund, they said is basically in two folds. One is the provision of credit and equity financing to people who are eligible for capital financing in order to support what small and medium enterprises, for them to provide quality equity, quasi equity, and credit financing. So the first thing is that they help venture capital financing companies. So it's like they are more like a mother to this kind of equity financing companies, for them to be able to help these smaller companies or smaller businesses with what equity or quasi equity. So it's part and part, and credit financing. So pure equity means that they would have ownership stake in the quasi equity is like the form of equity, but then there's no full ownership in there like that. And then you also have the credit financing as well. And then we have two is the provision of monies to support other activities and programs, which is geared for what development and promotion of venture capital activities in the country. So theirs is to make sure that venture capital activities in the country is pushed, or it is doing well, and then to ensure that there's also what equity financing available for venture capital financing companies. And so any individual or business entity in Ghana that needs finance to establish or start up or run a business is actually eligible to utilize their facility, and they require some basic things. When you go there, you need to have a comprehensive business plan, and we've spoken about business plan in entrepreneurship or in this program. And we made mention that when you writing a business plan, it is not only at start, it's not only for expansion, but whenever you're going to also what acquire financing. And so when you're going to a venture capital trust fund or any venture capitalist, they would want to have your business plan. You also have to have your incorporation papers, so you should be legally what registered. You can't go to them when you are not registered in there. So whether it's a sole proprietorship, you need to go with your registration document. If it's a partnership, your incorporation document should be there. If it's a company, you should have your legal papers all there. There should be also the audited financial projections for 3 years. Usually they may tend to go with businesses which are already what running in the country, because it's more risky to finance a business which has not yet started working or is not operational. Usually they may not want to unless the idea is very, very solid. And this is because you may not have what we call the traction. You don't have the things that we can check to see that this is really doing well or this is not doing well. And we made mention earlier that even in Ghana, most businesses do not survive after 3 years, the startups, and so it is risky. And so most of them would want to have financial projections or your financial statements for the past 3 years, or if you are yet to start, they want to see that projection for the next 3 years. And the idea must be very well solid. Your business plan must be solid to help you as well. And you should also have your tax clearance certificates. You can't go to them when you've not gone to GRA and you've not worked on your tax issues, because they don't want you to come and then avoid taxes and they'll be sued here, there, here, there. So tax clearance is very, very important. And any other information that may be required, they will let you also be in the know of it. Another key one is the Ghana Enterprises Agency, which was formerly called the NBSSI, the National Board for Small Scale Industry. And the NBSSI was actually established in 1981 by Parliament to actually oversee the activities of our small scale enterprises in Ghana, and it became operational in 1985. However, they've rebranded and they are now Ghana Enterprises Agency. So for them, what they also do is that they are actually supposed to define and establish what constitutes small scale enterprises. And so if you want to define small businesses in Ghana, if you want to define whether it's a micro business, it's a small scale business, it's a medium enterprise, definition of businesses in Ghana, especially when it comes to small businesses, it is the National Board for Small Scale Industries, now the Ghana Enterprise Agency, who are the ones who actually was their definitions you should do. So if you're going to do any dissertation in this field, you should know who to quote for your operationalization of small scale enterprises in here as well. And they organize extension networks for identifying projects, data collection, dissemination, information, and also provides feedback when it comes to what small scale enterprises. And they actually, sorry, and they are actually also in charge of what promoting entrepreneurship programs for development of new and existing industries. And so for most of them, you realize that they have a lot of things they do for businesses. They teach business plan and all those ones, and they have the business advisory services, which is also under them BACs, the business advisory centers. Usually, most of the district heads and things, they have their own BACs, which is under the GEA to help with what promotion of entrepreneurship. They also encourage a formation of cooperatives or the building of industrial estates and other infrastructure for small scale development. And they define the roles and responsibilities when it comes to implementation of special programs, especially when it comes to what finance, technology, and management of these small businesses. So typically, what Ghana or the governments, they want to push an agenda which is mostly in entrepreneurship. Most of that money goes through MBSSI, and so there are lots of flagship projects in which they do to finance these businesses in entrepreneurship. But when it comes to implementation of all policies which regards the sector, they are the one who actually would oversee it on behalf of the government. So they have the loan revolving fund scheme, which was operational in 1992, and the main objective was to promote the development of SSEs in Ghana. And it actually helps with the existing and new businesses, especially those who are doing manufacturing and those in the service sector, because in Ghana currently most of the activities is in the service sector in there. And so individuals who operate under a registered name with the scheme, permits are granted for loans through what the purchase of what raw materials. That is why it's also good for you to go and register with the Ghana Enterprise Agency if you are a small business or a small scale enterprise. It is very, very necessary in there. Then we have what we call the Business Advice Assistance Fund, the BAF. And we're saying that small scale enterprises, they need to access this credit facility if you was duly registered in Ghana and you're engaged in the productive sectors of the economy, which includes what manufacturing, agro-related industries, industrial support services, and tourism. If you fall under any of this, then you are qualified for the Business Advisory Fund, and it was introduced to restore the productive capacity of what enterprises and industries through industries of proven potential, because they want you to be able to perform satisfactorily. We also have other schemes like the PALMS card, which stands for the Program of Action to mitigate the social cost of adjustment, which was meant to suit the adverse effects of the ERP and SAP programs. So the target group is actually that we wanted to check redundant workers and unemployed who actually required credit to establish small businesses. So after all the ERP and SAP issues, you realize that there were people who were unemployed, people who were now at home, they couldn't do much, and these people, they wanted to encourage them to actually go into or start new businesses or to do things for themselves. And so applications were submitted through the MBSSI or the GEA, and I said in GEA they have district offices and you can find them basically in every region. They have regional offices as well, and these are some of the projects under it. Now we've seen other government projects like the one district one factory, the planting for food and jobs, and all those ones, and most of them, some of them are geared for the small scale enterprises as well. So other institutional support includes the Export Development and Investment Fund, the EDIF, which was actually established to assist the industrial and the export services. I think now they have the Exim Bank too, which is also helping with exports as well, to improve the industrial sector, especially those in the textile, wood and processing, food processing, and the rest. Then you have the Ghana Enterprise Development Commission, GEDEC, which was established to. So in this session, we have actually looked at some government institutions like the Ghana Venture Capital Trust Fund, the Ghana Enterprise Agency, and we've looked at some funds that were created under it purposely to help with the small scale enterprises. And we're saying that if you're going to be able to apply for them or get any help from them, you need to have what? The right documents first. We listed some of them like your business plan, your registration or your incorporation documents, your tax identification issues as well, in order for you to get such funds to expand or start your business.